Okay, this video looks at choosing your bowl. And this is assuming the metal bowl. I have a cat I'm not sure exactly what's going on. He may think it since it's late at night, I should be doing something else. So if I start doing something like this, it means I'm trying to deal with a cat. So forgive me and him. Now again, and I'm going to show you again the ones I'm familiar with, and then we'll look at how you can choose one. This one is, and don't mind the artwork on it, it was something I did, but this one is a milled Japanese gong. At least that's what Tibetan Spirit called it. I call them bell bowls because to me they're like a bowl that's a bell. Now you can, if you're careful, you can make this sing, but that's not what this video is about. Now this next one is, it's Indian. I believe it's mainly made of cast iron. It's got a lot of pretty artwork on, including it's got Buddha Shakyamuni in there. And it comes with a striker with suede. Now, I can use this if I want. I happen to choose to use this for the purposes I use it for. You can get other bowls from India. They're brass and they have colors on them and they got Hindu symbols because they're chakra bowls. And that seems to be very popular now. Most things are chakra only. The fact is we've got more than chakras, but I'm not going to argue. I don't have any examples of the chakra bowls. I have seen some other Nepalese bowls that are more art painted. I don't have any examples. This is your classic um, Himalayan Tibetan bowl. Now this particular one is brassy, so it's probably really made in Nepal. The big difference is the Nepalese bowls tend to have more brass. The Tibetan the bowls from Tibet tend to be more silvery because they've got more tin and silver in them. This was the first bowl I ever got. It's still one of my favorites. It's one of them I use for my sonic stress release. I use it for a lot of cool things. And basically, now if you get the chance to go in a store, there's several ways to choose your own bowl. If you read the books I read early on, they said they recommended you get first a sun bowl, B sharp. Then they said you can move to a moon bowl, which is B, and then I think I added an earth bowl, which was G. But ideally, they talked about personal tones. Now, what are personal tones? Your personal tone is basically your overall vibration, musical tone vibration. I used originally a pitch pipe, and then I got that little electronic keyboard. My original personal tone was a D. In 2011, I was told I was doing some work with some spirits of light, and since then, about 2-3 months ago, I discovered that my personal tone went from a D to a G. Now, back in when I was a D, I even had a chiropractor say that my personal tone was a D and to use that. And the idea of the personal tone is when you're feeling off. Say that you've had too much X-Files and you want to get to sleep, but you've seen the really creepy ones and you're going, oh my gosh. Well, spend some time humming your personal tone, thinking good thoughts or something, and it can shift sort of the creepies out of you, if you want to put it that way. So these are some possibilities. Now, I showed you the first bowl I ever got. I didn't get a choice. Now, if you can go in the store, you might discover that you can take a pitch pipe in and you can toot it and then you can play and go that, or you can just play and certain bowls will speak to you. I think we have changed enough that you might strike one and it just feels wrong. And you could strike another one and go, I don't know what that tone is, but that's for me. Now, I will warn you, sometimes your personal tone is something you're not ready to handle. I actually got a bowl from Tibetan Spirit that I didn't realize at the time was a personal tone bowl, and I couldn't handle it. But I set it aside, and about 6 months later, I was ready for it. But sometimes you just have to, especially like I got 90% of my metal bowls from Tibetan Spirit. I just ordered them, and I trusted that Spirit, Green Tara, whoever, would make sure that I got the appropriate bowl for me. And I never really regretted the process. And the same thing, I didn't show you, but I've got one small crystal bowl. I got it from sacredwaves.com, and that's where I'm working on raising money so I can get a large 11-inch frosted crystal bowl that's G sharp, A flat, so I can start doing some personal work so I can expand into crystal bowls in my work also and sharing with others. But you may not always have the choice. So if you can go somewhere and look at the bowls, fine. Again, I'll warn you, the Chinese are starting to make knockoffs. So unless you know you have a really good choice, or, the Japanese bowls, they're excellent. They may not be made the same way. They're excellent. The Tibetan bowls, great. A lot of the bowls from India, great. If you get the chance and can choose them yourself, that's wonderful. If you can't and have to order, put the intention out that the right bowl is going to come to you. Now, as long as you're doing a metal bowl, when it comes to you, um, I would not, the cast iron bowl, if you end up with a cast iron bowl, I would not recommend really dipping it in soapy, organic soapy water and drying it. I would probably use maybe a damp rag and mop it out. And then even get maybe an essential oil that you really feel is appropriate. Water it down a bit and then rub the bowl with your oil, just very, very faintly. If it's the basic Himalayan bowl, those can get wet. Now I've got a bowl that isn't really rusting, it's corroding. I'm seeing copper sulfate on it, and I'm not sure why. It could be I have a damp basement apartment, and I have a cat at the door who is bored, and I apologize, but the taking care of them, you can smudge them. You fumigate them with your incense. Um, you can put them in sunlight for a bit or moonlight. It doesn't. The nice thing about metal bowls is they don't need as much care as a crystal bowl does. And when you get them, chances are they may try to sell you velvet pillow. You want to use it, fine. I personally don't like it because I believe it sucks some of the vibrations into it and it muffles it. I like to use plastic jar lids, but then I'm big in recycling too. Um, but I like to use plastic jar lids, something like that. Now, I will also tell you if you're going to put your bowls on wood, you've got to have something because I've discovered that wood has dead spots on. When I got my first 12 metal bowls, I had sizes from this little to this big. And I just played them for half an hour to an hour a day for about 6 months straight until I had to step back because there was so much change going on. You put them on a dead spot, you're not going to hear anything. You put them on a dead spot like this, you can strike it, and even if there's a dead spot in the wood, you still get the sound.